program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana. Do you remember a time before technology was such an integral part of life, where something as simple as depositing cash required for you to queue inside a bank? Or when you needed to wait weeks for a response from a company you sent some sort of communication to? That seems a hazy memory because with technological advancements, much of life has become swift and so much more convenient. Even here in Botswana, where technology in all its forms is slowly but surely being considered a pillar in everyday life. This is not to say there aren't any challenges surrounding the complete adoption of technological tools to further Botswana's ambitions of a digital economy. Some of these include a lack of uptake of locally developed tech solutions, funding, and so on and so forth. We discuss some pertinent issues surrounding this subject matter with techpreneur Rapelang Rabana, founder at Rekindle Learning, a learning tech company that explores the role of technology and the latest teaching tools that improve learning efficiency and reducing time to competency, thereby ensuring higher workforce productivity and enabling young people to be more employable. She has been featured in such publications as Forbes Africa magazine and notable news portals as CNBC Africa and CNN. When we strip her of all these accolades, Rapelang is just a young woman from the small village of Shoshong, born in Gaborone at Princess Marina Hospital. She has two brothers. Together, they went to Thornhill Primary School before permanently relocating to South Africa. Perhaps before we can speak to how technology can be used to accelerate Botswana to a digital economy in all its fullness, we can find out from Rapelang how she got into the tech space and how she was able to make people believe in her capabilities as a woman contending in a male-dominated industry. Rapelang, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. We are at the National Business Conference and you're one of the moderators. But before we talk about the subject matter that you were presenting on here, let us talk about your own journey into, the digital space, into computer science.
I had quite an interesting journey, I think. In terms of the actual subject matter, I really landed up in a computer science degree by accident. When I finished matric or high school, I knew enough about myself to know that I didn't know anything at all. I wanted to take a gap year and find myself. But as we know, African parents, those are not things that are done. You can go to university and find yourself. And my brother was at UCT at the time, and I asked him, look, mom and dad said I have to come. What do you think I should study? Because at this point, it can be anything. I'm so unclear about what it should be, and he came up with this concept of business science, computer science, and that's what I landed up in. I had never coded. Yes, I'd used the computer, but it was all very new, and I was pretty terrified that first year. But after considering, all the other options available, accounting, computer science, marketing, organizational psychology, etc., I decided to stay with computer science because it was the only subject there that spent more time or less time on analyzing, reading, and reviewing all the stuff other people that I will never meet and know wrote about. And this one, you're allowed to come up with an idea, actually make it into reality, and inject it into people's lives, in software, in applications that people will use. And I thought that was magic. So I thought it might be hard, but let me stay with it.
I mean, this happenstance into computer science is what catapulted you or what sent you on this entrepreneurship journey into tech, right? But you are an entrepreneur who does not believe that everyone should be an entrepreneur. What informs this view?
We're at a stage in our economy where there's so much economic pressure that we're assuming that everyone should go, the entrepreneurship route because that's how, a world economy might work out better. But in truth, I don't think that entrepreneurship is the answer to everything, and it is certainly not the epitome of a professional career per se. I think life is much simpler. Life is about choosing the struggle that you're willing to bear. And there's a struggle either way, whether you join a corporate, whether you start a non-profit, whether you start your own for-profit business. And it's about deciding which struggle you're willing to do that is compatible with who you are, how you want to spend your time and what you want to give your attention to. And that for me is far more important than saying everyone should be an entrepreneur or everyone, should be a professional. And I think when we look at it from that lens, you can still excel to your highest form in a corporate career as long as it's about a deliberate choice, an intentional choice. You know what you are looking to contribute. You don't just do it, to get money into your bank account every month. You feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And in my mind, that's the most important part of the human experience.
Let us talk about the youth dividend that you feel should be realized to catalyze reforms and expedite transformations. Please share your thoughts on this.
The youth dividend is something that we've got to realize on this continent. Otherwise, one, we'll have a major big problem. But two, it's also just a great opportunity where we will have this huge population of a working class that is bigger than anywhere else in the world. And this will also facilitate dramatic growth in so many industries and sectors. We can create new wealth, distributed wealth across people that have been excluded from the economy, people that haven't had products and services, across all, healthcare, education, financial services, etc. It's a tremendous opportunity to use our skills and manpower to almost democratize prosperity on the African continent. So in my mind, this youth dividend has to be, achieved. And I talked a lot about the skills that need to be applied, and the various ecosystems, entrepreneurship and capital that need to come together to support that youth dividend so that it isn't a catastrophic youth bulge.
You are a woman who is contending in an abundantly male-dominated industry. So how did you manage to make people believe in your capabilities, setting aside the stereotypes that may otherwise be associated with having your gender play in this space?
I think I was really lucky at the beginning. I didn't know that I was supposed to be at a disadvantage because I was a woman. These are things I really only learned after university and in the world as an entrepreneur trying to sell. And I think I credit that to my upbringing, how my parents raised me. Boy, I have two brothers and everyone had to cook, clean and do maths and science. And there was no differentiation whether I was a girl or boy, whether that was possible or not. So I think that helped me psychologically not be so affected and limited by these perspectives. And then in terms of actually, showing people or convincing people rather, it's not about telling but showing in my mind. A lot of times I hear entrepreneurs saying, they haven't built this business or published this app or done this, etc., because they're waiting for funding. That's not how it starts. You do it and you show it, and that attracts support at some point, whether it's customers or partners or ultimately investors. But it was because we didn't sit and wait. We didn't say, trust us, we've got an amazing idea. We started the first business, built a prototype, actually showed that we could build this complex technology and do it as a demonstration and prototype. And that's what ultimately got us our first investors. We didn't get any support on the idea or trying to sell ourselves. We showed them what it was that we were doing.
But how are we going to have conversations around starting enterprises and business, especially in the space that you're in, without talking about funding?
Look, I can only speak mostly from my own experience, and I was lucky enough that my parents didn't have money to invest in my business, but they allowed me to stay at home and they fed me. And that is essentially my first investment. And that allowed me to have the mental space to actually focus on this business initiative and get it to, the point where we would ultimately be able to get funding and get customers. So in my mind, whether you do it as a side hustle, something you do after 5 o'clock, or whether you save up money over 3 years of work so that you can take, 6-12 months out, everyone has to sweat for that dream. That's why it's your dream. No one is going to save you from that. And there's no funding that's going to save you from that at all. And the notion that there is pretty flawed. I don't think it's true, in most societies. Silicon Valley has had some interesting perversions in the market, but in most countries it's not actually true. You sweat for your own dream until you can show your progress, your performance, and then you attract support, not the other way around.
Technology and its adoption in Botswana towards economic growth, transformation, and sustainability is something that has been talked about for quite some time. What gaps do you think need to be bridged for there to be a significant amount of impact and usage of these tools?
There's a couple of really basic principles in my mind that need to happen. One, every individual has to be in a position to be connected to this digital economy. So it means that everyone, needs a device that's internet compatible and be able to afford continuous internet. What will that really do, and why is it so important? It means that if I am selling a specific necklace jewelry that I'm making from home and the whole of Botswana is on the internet, and I put my things on Instagram, I will actually have a market to sell to because people are present on the internet. There is a place where you will find people. That's a basic starting point for any service provider. Being able to easily access your customers online is one of the biggest breakthroughs any entrepreneur will get. So I think as a government, and private sector, think about how do we ensure that every individual can afford to be connected? Because then it changes the game. It's no longer a small percentage of people, but it's now a market that you can service. The other thing are the things that sort of facilitate all of that. Even if I do put my things on Instagram, or maybe I develop an app, it's on the app stores, etc., being able to process payments and collect money is a cornerstone of any business, right? And in this digital world, we need to ensure that payment processing is efficient and, easily accessible for people. We have lots of mobile money wallets in Botswana, for example, but you can't easily pay across mobile money wallets to other providers. You can't easily transact and collect money on your wallet and, process and make payments and transact. Until those things happen, we haven't created a digital economy because there's no financial power in these systems. So it's a simple thing. Kenya led the way. They've been mandated interoperability of mobile money payments. South African FNB, for example, led the way in getting PayPal to be able to allow payments into South African bank accounts. And there's lots of things that we can do here too. Have we lobbied the likes of PayPal? Have we, aligned with the likes of Google Play Store and Apple iStore so that our developers would be able to collect money here instead of having to go overseas to set up a US company and a US bank account to participate meaningfully in that digital economy? And in my mind, when you sort out that access issue and the payment processing, it opens up a potential for businesses to actually grow and thrive in this new world.
But Rapelang, what needs to happen for there to be a national switch? Who is supposed to be the custodian in ensuring that conversations around this are had, that legislature is implemented or enacted for this to happen? Because like you're saying, there is an opportunity for SMMEs especially to benefit from having this platform, if you will.
That's $1 million question. I continue to be perplexed as to why not. We go to, all of these occasions and business leaders and politicians will say, we need to support entrepreneurship. We need to support and invest in entrepreneurs. We need to support innovation. But I'm like, it's so obvious how to do it. Why are we not doing it, as opposed to saying we should, when the options to do are right at the table? I don't know the specific bodies that need to, but certainly even as entrepreneurs, at occasions like this, why don't we, narrow the focus of the conversation to how do we get an interoperable, affordable mobile payments environment in Botswana, and that to be a topic, as opposed to, keeping it high level, how do we grow the economy, etc., etc. Those are not things that can lead to actions. But as entrepreneurs, and that's what I do, let's try to focus the conversation on actual things, action items that need to be done, so that we're not having a general conversation of we should support entrepreneurship, we should be more innovative. Those don't help anyone at the end of the day.